Hi there. I I am just, oh, sorry, one second, just having some technical issues. Okay, so welcome those joining us. We'll just give a little bit more time for other people to hop on. Hi there. Hi, Christine. Nice to see you. I'm just sharing this disclaimer. So if you can just take a first few moments just to read this. So just basically anything that we share on the webinar today is the opinions of those sharing and not necessarily the opinions of Scrap the 9 to 5. And yeah, any use of this recording is not permitted. So, okay. So let's see. Okay, we're just gone past the hour. So let me just get out of here. Stop share, and I can see you all. Hello, there you go. Can you all hear me okay? Yeah, good, great. Okay, so today's topic for the webinar is overwhelm. So I'm basically, what I'm going to do is share a little presentation with you. Just some of the things that I've experienced, some of the things that I've learned on the journey, some of the things that have helped me to deal with overwhelm. And then what we'll do is we'll open it out and we can share and ask questions and have a bit of a mastermind if you would like that. How does that sound? Yeah, good. Okay. All right. So once again, I'm just going to share my screen. Bear with me. Can you see that? Can you see my screen? Just opening. Yep, brilliant. Okay. Okay, so overwhelm is the topic of today. So what is it and how do we deal with it? Well, if you've ever experienced overwhelm, you probably know that it doesn't feel very good. So basically it's when you've got too much to do, you just feel completely inundated with stuff. Your to-do list is constantly growing. You can't seem to get anywhere near the end of the to-do list. Feeling under pressure, your mind is racing, constantly busy, constantly thinking about all the things that you need to do. But probably because of the overwhelm, there's a real lack of focus, a real lack of motivation. And this can lead to you feeling irritated, frustrated, or you may maybe even like snapping at people that you're close to. And you know, this is just a result of the overwhelm that you can be feeling. It can sometimes come with tension headaches, maybe not being able to sleep very well, which of course all adds to the situation. And I know for me, it often leads to procrastination because I don't even know where to begin. You know, when I'm in that state, if I've allowed myself to get too overwhelmed, then I really don't know where to begin and I just can't do anything. So procrastination becomes massive. So this is why overwhelm is such a big, can be such a big hurdle on this journey of building an online business, because it's a new area. We've got new skills to learn. A lot of what we're doing is completely unknown. And that in itself can feel very overwhelming. And of course, there's lots of things to do. So it's very common, very natural. And I don't really know anybody who hasn't experienced this at some point on this journey. But the good news, so the good news is that if you've identified that you're feeling overwhelmed, then you've already accomplished half of the battle. Overwhelm is not it's not a disease, it's not a condition that you're born with, it is just a state of mind. So like any emotion, once you're aware of it, then you can deal with it, you can do something about it. So if you've got the awareness that that's what's going on, then that really is half of the battle solved. So it's not all doom and gloom. So why do we experience overwhelm? Well, I mean, there's many reasons, but I've just highlighted a few really. And essentially, it's this fast-paced society that we live in. You know, things weren't always like this. Obviously, there wasn't always the internet, which has had a massive effect, because we now live in this situation where we've got tweets, Facebook messages, texts, emails, like WhatsApp messages. We've got all of this like flying at us constantly. And on the other end, there are people with extremely busy lives. They're all just as busy as we are. And everybody expects an answer like now. And so it's kind of like this thing where we're constantly bombarded, we're constantly required to do something, to give our energy to someone, to give our energy to something. And it is, our attention is being like pulled in, you know, 100 different directions. You know, we're like over here one minute, you know, if you've got kids, you've got relationships, you've got work, it's just a lot. So we're constantly bombarded with things that require our attention. And, you know, essentially our brains are not accustomed to this. You know, we haven't evolved to be used to this, because this is quite new, like to the digital age that we live in now. You know, this is relatively new, and we as human beings are not accustomed to it yet. So it is going to have, as amazing as it is to have this technology and all of the wonderful things we can do with it, it does have some disadvantages as we get used to it and evolve with it. So that's just some of the reasons why. Okay, so let's get on with how we can deal with it. So essentially, when we're experiencing overwhelm, it's because we have too much going on, right? And the best way, or the number one thing that we can do to get clarity and to be able to move forwards, is to prioritize. So, you know, if you have for example, if you're starting your online business and maybe you've got a list of like 20 things that you need to do, and each of those things require maybe 5 or 6 steps to get them to happen, that's incredibly overwhelming if you're looking at that whole list, okay? Now, I'm very much a list person. I'm writing down lists, because I don't think my brain could cope with the amount of things that I have going on. If I don't write them down, I'm just going to worry about them, and I'm going to try to remember them, and then I can't have any peace in my mind. So for me, it helps to have a list. Up until quite recently, I was always just a pen and paper girl, you know, and I would have these like lists everywhere, like dotted all around, or different notebooks, different notepads. The list people listening will understand. And then I discovered Trello, which is amazing. So if you do like a list, and if you want to get a bit more organized, I highly recommend writing everything down. Like, just get it out of your mind, because when it's out of your mind, you don't have to worry about remembering it. You can just put it on a piece of paper, or put it on Trello, or put it on a document on your computer, however you want to do it. And you know that it's there, and you don't have to think about it anymore, because your subconscious mind will keep trying to remind you about it. If you've thought of something you need to do, your subconscious mind will keep bringing it back to you until you deal with it. So yeah, get it on a list. Trello is one tool that I really recommend. There's also another tool called Asana, which I'm not as familiar with, but they're both tools that you can use to organize your list. So I'll actually give you a quick look at this. If you're interested to find out more about Trello, Dan has done a webinar a little while ago that he went into quite a bit of detail about Trello and how it works. And there's also a training in the back office, in the LinkedIn, like with the LinkedIn courses, so you can find out more about it there. But just to give you, excuse me, a quick look. For example, this is my Trello yeah, this is Trello, and I have all of these Trello boards here. So I have all these different things going on. So for example, if I open up my SFM ideas, oops, I don't know why that came up. But if I open up my SFM list, it is just like, hang on a second, I've got to get my Zoom window out of the way. It is crazy. I have lists and lists and lists, and look, right? If I looked at that every day, of all the things, all the ideas I've got, all the things I want to do, I would go bonkers, right? So instead I have this one. I have this one called Alex's Day, and I don't ever put more than like 3 things on it, right? So like today I've got to do my webinar. Here we are. I've got to have a call with someone later, and I've got to do something about some accommodation. So I basically structure this so that each day I put the most important things that I know that I need to do that day on this list. And then I don't have to look at all the other stuff. So if you're constantly prioritizing and just moving what is the next most important thing to the list of the day, then that is really going to help. So we can definitely talk a bit more about that after. Oh, I've got this Zoom window in the way, bear with me. Okay, there we go. Let's get back to the presentation. But yeah, if you have like a good thing to ask yourself, which is actually a question I've got on here, what is the one thing that I can do today that will bring me closer to my goals? So, you know, if you're going through the modules and you haven't started marketing yet, for example, then the goal presumably is to get your SFM business set up, or whatever, you know, whatever business, online business you're working on. So the first thing you need to do is you need to have the education, right? So you need to go through the modules. So your priority is just going to be the next stage of the modules. And that's the one thing you can do today that will move you closer to your goal. Once you get, for example, to the end of the modules, if you are ready to start marketing and your goal is to start getting 10 leads per day, for example, then you've got to start looking at the income producing activities and how you're gonna get those 10 leads per day. So your priorities will be different. Your priority is going to be to get marketing, to start attracting those leads, you know, whatever that looks like depending on the path that you're going down. But that way you can narrow down the things that are really important to you. Okay, so I mean, we could talk for ages about prioritizing and productivity and things like that. I don't want to go too much into it, but if you have questions afterwards, we can definitely come back to any of these topics. And by the way, if there's anything that doesn't make sense, or you have like a really urgent question that can't wait till the end, then just give me a wave or unmute and jump out, and we can deal with that, no problem. Okay, so the next thing to do now, I wrote this one down. How do you eat an elephant? You might have heard this phrase before. So there's only one way to eat an elephant, and that's one bite at a time, right? Now, it's like a cliche, but it's so true, because I remember when, you know, I had spent a long time setting up my business, starting to build it, and I got to the stage when I then suddenly started to get apps and members coming through. And I remember when I got my very first app, I was obviously very happy, really excited. You know, all the hard work leading up to it had finally paid off, and there was some results to show for that. And then I remember very quickly that excitement turned straight into overwhelm, because I suddenly was in this new territory, a new space that I hadn't been in before. And I had been so focused on getting leads, getting apps, you know, growing my list. I'd been so focused on all of that that I didn't even know what came next. And I was like, oh my God, now what do I do? So the thing is that you basically just have to start one step at a time. So break larger tasks down into smaller steps, and again, prioritizing them. So, you know, if, for example, you're building a website, that might seem to some people like a huge monumental task. So break it down, you know, break it down into small steps. Like, okay, what pages does my website need? I need a home page, I need a contact page, I need an about me page. All of those can be individual tasks. And then probably within those pages, there's even more individual tasks that you could create, you know, like selecting the pictures and writing the copy that you're going to put on your website. So yeah, break it down. And then when you can focus on that individual task, it doesn't seem so huge, you know, it's not so unmanageable. And also another thing is, like, don't worry if you don't know what the next steps are, you know. Sometimes, and I hear this quite a lot when I'm speaking, like, for example, with leads, they have all of these questions about how it works, what to do, what the options are. There's so many questions that you don't actually begin. And the thing is that often we can get into this space in our head where we have so many questions and we don't know, we can't see the whole journey, we can't see from the very beginning all the way to the end and connect all the dots in between. And that can often become an obstacle that holds people back as well. So don't worry if you don't know what that looks like. You only need to know the next step, you know. So you only need to know, oh, today, in order to like get to my goal of say, for example, getting 10 leads per day, today I need to write a script for an advert. That might be the only step that you know, but that's okay. You know that that's a step towards where you want to go. Okay, so I hope that makes sense. Some other tips are clearing your clutter. So definitely I find that like a cluttered desk, for example, equals a cluttered mind. So if you're surrounded by mess, you know, that in it, maybe not just in your desk, but like in your house, in your home in general, in your space, in your environment, if you're surrounded by mess, that can definitely add to the overwhelm. So this is why, you know, you always get the cliches of like people suddenly want to start cleaning or like shifting their space around when they're maybe feeling a bit overwhelmed, right? And I can see like some people are nodding, you know, might have had this experience recently. And you know, people tend to clean when they're worried or stressed about things as well, don't they? You know, you always hear that cliche anyway. And I think there's really truth in it, because it's like, it is kind of therapeutic, but the thing is that it's the result that you create, is that you create space. And when you're overwhelmed and you've got so much going on and you don't know where to start and what to do, you need to create space. You need to give yourself the space to be able to focus, because you cannot focus really or be that productive when you're in that state of overwhelm. The other thing is to remove all distractions. So turn your notifications off on your phone, you know, like put your phone on silent mode or airplane mode. You know, you really cannot focus when, like, if you're sitting down to try and work on a project and your phone is pinging constantly, you're just hopping from one thing to the next. I don't know, like some people might be able to ignore that, but I know if I hear things going, like I have to pick it up and have a look. I can't help it. So I basically have my phone on silent all day. You know, I check it in the morning, and then once I go to work, it's on silent, and then I check it again in the evening at some point when I'm free, and when I give myself the time and the space to attend to that. But it's not then controlling me. It's not interrupting my life and my day and what I need to do. So that's really helpful. And the other thing is, stop trying to multitask. It is a myth that multitasking is a good thing. It's like multitasking has become this thing that it's almost like you get praised if you can multitask, you know, like you're kind of, I can't remember the word, but it's like, it's something that people are like proud of, you know, like especially like, you know, if you think about, say, a mother, for example, they're like praised and proud of the fact that they're juggling all of these different things and multitasking. And it's just something that in our society has become like this kind of, it's almost like something to be proud of and to be like kind of recognized for. But it's actually just a complete myth. We cannot multitask. It just means we do things not very well. We don't do things with our full attention, with our full focus. It means that we're scattered and we're all over the place. So yeah, it just makes you less productive, so stop doing it. That's all I have to say on that. We can talk about it more in a while if you want to. Okay, and then my last slide, which is good timing, so we'll have plenty of time, is be realistic. So this is the other thing that can, I mean, this is one of the things that can create overwhelm in the first place, is when we're unrealistic with our expectations. You know, if you're working a full-time job and then you've got all these expectations that you're going to come home and work for 5 hours on your online business before you go to bed and get up and go to a full-time job again, you know, you're probably being a bit unrealistic with the time that you've got and the energy that you've got. And sure, you know, when you're in that really excited stage and you're working on a new project, you might feel fired up to do that for a while, but it isn't sustainable in the long term. You know, you're just going to burn out and be no good to anybody. You know, you're not going to be able to build your business or do your 9-to-5 job. So whatever it looks like, whatever your schedule is like, you know, whether you've got lots of time or not, be realistic with the time that you have and be aware of how much the other things in your life, how much time and energy they require as well, you know, and you've got to give yourself some time in there. So it's a little bit about finding balance. Yeah. So number 7 is practice mindfulness. Now, this one I think is huge, and I would say that my yoga practice and my meditation practice, which is basically a daily thing that I do every morning, and it's always the first thing that I do, because I know if I didn't do it first thing, the day would get away with me and then it may never happen, you know. But those two things, they keep me sane. And when I don't do them, I really feel the difference. I actually spent a lot of time in an ashram in India. I used to teach yoga for about 5-6 years before I joined the whole online business world. And I remember my teacher in India, he used to say, an hour of yoga a day makes you normal. So it's not like an hour of yoga a day like makes you some superhuman being. It makes you normal in the sense that you having that time each day to connect with yourself, to have some peace and quiet, to like do something that's just for you, to be really mindful. It makes you joyful, it makes you happy, it makes you calm, and that is normal. That is what should be normal for us as human beings. But we spend a lot of time actually not feeling joyful, not feeling happy, not feeling content, calm or peaceful because of these crazy busy lives that we lead. You know, we don't have time to be mindful. So when you're too busy to meditate, it's when you need to meditate even more. So there's some really simple ways that you can integrate these things into your life, and it doesn't have to start with like some huge you know, you don't have to start with an hour of yoga a day. That might not be your thing, and I appreciate that. It might be something different for, you know, it could be something different like going for a run, or you know, some people like to play music or paint, you know, get creative, that like with art and whatever. So whatever it is, try to have something in your day that is a time for you to be peaceful and to be present. And if you don't know what that is yet, or you're not really sure, a really simple thing that anyone can do is just take a few moments to connect with your breath. And this is really powerful, because I know that, like, when I've been, say, for example, in the past, working in a corporate career, and even like, fairly recently with my online business, when I have been feeling overwhelmed, one of the quickest things I can do to kind of reduce that feeling of overwhelm is to just get really present, get in touch with my breath. And that can be as simple as closing your eyes and taking 10 deep, long, slow breaths. It can be that simple. And the first few breaths, your mind is still racing. You're like, oh, why am I even doing this? I've got things I need to be doing. I haven't got time to watch my breath. What is this crazy woman talking about? You might have all that kind of stuff going on in your head, right? And then by the time you get to like the 5th breath, you're feeling a little bit more relaxed. The mind is maybe a little bit quieter. By the time you get to the 10th breath, you're like, oh, I could stay there all day. This is really lovely. Like, I'm feeling much better right now. So that's just a quick tip that I would say is a place you can start if you're not familiar with like meditation and yoga and things like that. And you can do that like multiple times in the day. Like, you can practice it while you're brushing your teeth. You can, every time you go and make a cup of tea, you can like give that to yourself as a reminder that, oh, like, let me be present for a couple of moments and just take some deep breaths. And these things will really help to just keep you present and keep you connected and grounded, and not feeling so stressed out with everything that life is throwing at you. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing for me. That's why I probably went off on a bit of a rant about it. And then the final one, number 8, and this is one that I'm quite guilty of not really paying that much attention to, but I very much should. Sometimes you just have to take a step back. Sometimes no matter what you've done, you might have done all of the things that I've suggested already, and you might still be feeling overwhelmed. And that's really a time when you need to just take a step back, take some time out, get outside, go for a walk, go be in nature, go do something that takes your mind completely away from whatever it is that's stressing you out. Then you come back fresh, you come back energized, and you've got all of like more focus and more clarity to put towards your goals and your projects. Okay, so there's one more slide, and when you've done all those things, that is how you'll be. Just completely relaxed and feeling free and chilled out, hopefully. So yeah, okay, so let me stop the share. So has anybody got any questions on any of that? Anything didn't make sense? Anything you want me to talk about a bit more? Anything coming up? Yes, Christine, do you want to unmute yourself?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can, loud and clear. How are you?
Thanks very much for that. I'm well. How are you?
Mm-hmm. I'm good, thank you.
I wanted to ask, with regards to mindfulness, where would you suggest somebody who has never done anything, that I've tried a couple of times, never was successful, I've like done 2 or 3 days and always gone back to not doing it. So where would you suggest somebody starts with mindfulness? What kind of resources are out there we can do? And yeah, just like to hear a bit more about that, if you can.
Yeah, brilliant. Great question. Thanks for asking that. So, I mean, the thing is, you don't need any tools as such. Simply, like, the first place you could start is just literally have some reminder, like, for example, like the example I gave, like every time you go make a cup of tea, And maybe to start with, it's like when you create a new habit, right? It's going to take a while for you to be able to remember it, for it to become automatic. So create some kind of system that you will remember, a reminder on your phone, some sticky notes or whatever it is. And then, so for example, if it was every time I go make a cup of tea, you might have a sticky note by your kettle, you know, and then literally just in that moment, in that space, just close your eyes wherever you are. You can be standing, you can be sitting, just plant your feet firmly on the ground, like take a moment just to feel your feet on the ground. Close your eyes and just get really present with yourself. Like forget all the noise outside. Take literally your attention to your breath, and then as much as possible, try to focus on each inhale and exhale. So that's why I say you can literally start with like 5 or 10 breaths, and you just count the breath in, count the breath out. And your mind will wander. That's completely normal. Your mind will go all over the place, and you'll still be thinking about all the things you need to do and whatever happened yesterday and what you want to have for dinner and all that kind of stuff. And when you recognize that that's happening, you just like with love and compassion for yourself, just bring your mind back to your breath. Having said that, like that's a simple way anyone can get started, but there are some amazing tools out there that you can use. Like if you wanted more guidance, there's an app called Headspace that is really good. A lot of people use. Yeah, some thumbs up, great. And you know, there's loads of stuff on YouTube. Like you know, there's a whole like there's a yoga channel that I actually use sometimes when I just want inspiration for my practice. It's Adrian, Yoga with Adrian, and that's mostly like actual asana, like stretching and postures, but she does do some meditations on there as well. I'm sure there's lots more out there, but because I've been doing yoga for so long, I don't actually use really any of the apps because I just do it myself. But yeah, there's lots out there. There's lots of books as well. There's a really great book on mindfulness. I can't remember the name of the author, but it's green and yellow, and it's basically the guy that created mindfulness. So yeah, just do some research on Audible. Maybe get yourself an Audible book that will go into much more detail about how you can practice mindfulness. There's heaps out there. Yeah, and if anyone else has got any suggestions, because I saw a few people like nodding and thumbs up and things like that, if anyone wants to come out and add to that to help Christine, feel free. Yeah, do you want to come out, Steve? You need to, oh, you're muted, Steve. Do you know how to unmute yourself? There we go, yes. Oh no, I still can't hear you. Unmute, I've unmuted you. No, I can't hear you. Oh, it might be something to do with when you connected to Zoom. If you want, you might, if you jump out and jump back in, and then when it asks you to connect your audio, it should then work, because I've actually unmuted you and I still can't hear you. That's right. No one else can hear him, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. He's jumping out now. Okay. We'll come back to him. So does that help, Christine? Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and when you said it needs to be made into a habit, I think I just need to be more patient about it. I always try to like have immediate results, but I guess it just takes a longer time. So just need to be patient and just do it daily, so then I get used to it. Yeah, thank you.
No, that you're welcome. Like, it's not something that happens overnight. I mean, I was very on and off with my yoga and meditation practice for years. And, it is exactly like you say, like creating a habit. You have to really put the effort and the intention in to start with it. But, it's like that classic thing, isn't it? Like, it will be really hard for the first few weeks at least, but if you do it every day, you will start to feel and notice the benefits quite quickly. And so then you kind of want to do it and you look forward to it. And I know now, like, when I wake up in the morning, like my meditation is like, I'm like, yes, this is like my favorite part of the day, because you know the rest of the day is just like craziness. Okay, Steve is back. Let's see if we can hear you. Are you? No. Oh, hang on, I'm trying to see if there's anything I can do, but
No.
have you? Oh no, because you are still muted. Hang on, unmute. Say something, Steve. Yeah, I can hear you. You're a little quiet, but
I've got this posh new microphone that I've just set up, and I'm not sure whether that's the thing that's working.
oh well, it's working now, so that was good.
I just want to say something about Headspace. There's some really good packs on that around. I'm going through on productivity at the moment because I need to increase my productivity, and it certainly talks about all those things that you've mentioned.
Brilliant, great. So you recommend Headspace for Christine?
Yeah, I think they're doing a bit of an offer on it at the moment as well.
Okay.
It's 40 quid a year or something, if you can afford that.
Brilliant. Great, thank you for that, Steve. Glad we got your mic working. Martin, I see you waving. Did you want to jump out?
Yes, just to say about Headspace, I practiced it for several weeks and off and on like Christine, and just last weekend I decided to do the Basics 1, which is 10-minute meditations, and I actually set a clock for an hour, and every hour I did the 10-minute meditation, and at the end of the day my mind was much more calm, and I've just had the best 3 days I've had for almost a year now. I've been quite ill, and it's been the meditation that has made all the difference. And the book you have mentioned, I think, is Mindfulness: Finding Peace in a Frantic World.
That's the one. Yeah.
Danny Penman, and there's the other chap from the Oxford Mindfulness Centre. It's excellent as well. But the Headspace is so easy to do. It's very, very easy.
Great, thanks, Martin.
And it's free. That basic section is actually free.
Oh, brilliant. I didn't know that, so that's great actually. Okay, great. So I'll actually dig out the link for that book as well, and I'll put it on the replay because it's a good one, and it comes with a CD as well. Although maybe it comes with an MP3 or something now. I don't know. Back when I bought it, it was a CD. Okay, so anyone else got any questions about anything that we were talking about with regards to overwhelm? Anything I've mentioned that might help, or maybe you've been experiencing overwhelm and you've come up with a different approach or some different ideas in how to deal with it, or what's helped you. If you'd like to come out and share, that would be really powerful for everybody. Anyone? Don't be shy. Yeah, Steve? Yeah, now your mic's working. You've got no excuse. Uh-oh, no, can't hear you again. What happened?
Go on.
One, two. There we go.
No, the only thing I wanted to say really was that I had a bit of a crisis earlier this week with all of the stuff that I seemed to think that was needed and outstanding, and I just took a bit of time off, as you said. Take a step back, have a think, work about what it is that you need to do next, and do that. And I've got myself a bit of a I was getting myself in a bit of a mess about doing this 90-day video journey.
Okay.
I haven't started yet. So I've kind of postponed that for a while, and I'm focusing on getting a daily blog done. So I'm writing some stuff into my blog, and I'm finding that that's calming me down somewhat for an hour in the morning, which is good. And learning a bit about how to use WordPress as well, which is helpful.
Brilliant. So what was it that you said you were feeling overwhelmed with all the things that you felt you should be doing? And I love that, because we do create the overwhelm ourselves, because
so it was basically around the fact that, you know, I was at a point where I'm getting towards the end of module 5 now, there just seems to be a lot in module 5
Yes.
that you have to get through, and I think the key to it is that you don't have to do it all. You just pick what you need, pick the areas that you need, and focus on those. But also don't do more than a couple of things at a time. So blogging and I'm just working on the Bing stuff at the moment now. Don't try and do everything. Don't try and do YouTube ads and do a 90-day blog and all of that kind of stuff, because you just get overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's great. I think it's so common for people to get stuck at the end of module 5. Excuse me. It's kind of like you've been walked through, these modules, literally, like Stuart has held your hand the whole way through, like, click here, do this, do that. And then it's like, poof, there you go, out into the world, go. It's like, I've taught you now, off you go and do your thing. And you're like, what? Like, what do you mean?
The other thing I was told was, because I've just signed up for Elite as well.
Right. Congratulations.
So that was sort of coming at me as well, somewhat. So there's all the curriculum of that. So I've literally just started that and then decided to sort of just focus on finishing off, really, before I get onto that.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? So, like, going back to what I was saying before, like with the presentation, this is the thing where it's like you've got to decide what the priority is right now, and you've got, especially in the SFM, like, we've got access to so much stuff. There's so much training. There's webinars every day. There's replays of webinars that go back for years. There's so much stuff, and of course you're excited and you want to learn and you're in that, like, enthusiastic stage, and but it's just impossible to do it all. Like, it's completely impossible. So you do just have to get clarity about what it is that is going to move you forwards. So that's why that question, like, what's the one thing I can do today that will get me closer to my goal? That's really a powerful thing to, like, constantly have in the back of your mind. And, it's like, brilliant. You've got that Elite training there. That's going to be great. But you don't need to do that right now because you've barely even finished the modules, right? So you've got to finish the modules and then the next step and then the next step, So that's great. Thanks for sharing that, Steve.
No problem.
Anybody stuck with anything or wants to add or share? Or if we're kind of done with the overwhelm topic, we can also talk about anything else that people have on their minds. So John, I see you there. I've got a question I want to ask you. Can I ask whether the YouTube ad happens now? I'll just frame it for everybody. So if you went on the webinar that happened 3 weeks ago, usually these will be once a fortnight, but the last one was 3 weeks ago, the first and last one. And we were talking about fear and overcoming fear. And a few people on the webinar had been stuck at the stage where they were not, well, maybe I should let John tell the story. Yeah, let me let John tell the story.
Really?
Yeah. Where were you stuck? Share with us.
First of all, hello, Alex, and congratulations for your promotion.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah, basically, I was procrastinating for what felt like months, which wasn't. It was only like days, about advertising on YouTube. Zero confidence in front of the camera. I'm about 35 days into my 90 video day journey. And yeah, now I'm just starting to enjoy it. It was something that I absolutely dreaded for the first sort of, 15, 20 days, trying to think of content, what to say. You saw all these people just, 10-minute videos on mindfulness and stuff, and you're like, what? I can't do this, and it is completely overwhelming. At the same time, I'd sort of progressed really quickly with where I wanted to be. I'd gone from, applying for the FSM to 2 weeks later going all the way black. So I had literally everything come at me all at once. I had what felt like 1,000 webinar calls and everything else I was trying to do, and yeah, it was pretty intense. So it took me, I suppose, 5 or 6 days to realise that I needed a day off, and I just needed to, like you were saying, Steve, actually just take some time and work out what you want to do and how you want to sort of attack certain things. I was advertising on Bing, but I know where my target market was, and that was on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So yeah, trying to actually get in front of the camera and put a good script together and actually do it was terrifying for me. But yes, I did do it. I went and filmed the ad. I think it was probably 4 days after your last webinar, Alex.
Awesome. So proud of you. Well done.
It went live and I got my first 5 leads out of it. So
Yay! Yeah, that's fantastic. So how did it feel once you actually did that? Like, was it as bad as you thought it was going to be? Like, tell us a little bit about the actual experience.
I think learning to believe in yourself is the biggest thing that I struggle with. I think if you can believe in yourself and you can just find it within yourself just to push beyond the boundary that is stopping you from doing it, then it's possible. It's easy, because it's like the 90-day video journey. I mean, I was procrastinating for so long and thinking, what do I talk about, and just going through all these scenarios in my mind. But actually, when I just pick up my phone and I put it in front of my face and I start talking, 8 minutes has gone by, I post it online, and I have like 15 comments by everyone saying, oh, we love your persona and how you come across, and I'm like, really? I think I look an idiot on camera. But it's not until you actually get other people give you feedback. And I put my first ad up on the 90-day video journey for YouTube, and I just said to everyone before I post this, what do you think? And you know what? It was a real mixed bag. Half the people who I consider my friends now, who sort of comment on my videos, they said, oh yeah, it's amazing, you've done really well. But then I was getting another half of the people going, yeah, I'd probably do this, I'd probably put some music in, some B-roll, and you were stumbling a bit there, you didn't sound very enthusiastic there. And you sort of had, it felt to me like I had the good and then the haters.
Oh.
So, but for me, I was just like, you know what? I appreciate that. I wanted everyone's honesty and I wanted everyone's feedback. So I just put it up, and what do you know? I got 5 leads out of it. So admittedly, it's gone downhill since, and I need to sort of rework my ads a little bit and see what's going on.
Yeah.
But I've been in touch with Greg and Fiona already, and I've got a new plan now. So yeah, it's good.
That's brilliant. Great. Like, that's the thing, like, you have these kind of obstacles, and I loved what you said about, the belief thing. It is massive, and I think we're actually going to do that as a topic very soon for one of these webinars. But it's so funny, isn't it? Because like you say, you see yourself on camera and it doesn't feel good. You don't like it. You worry about what you sound like, what you look like. We all do that. And, like, we're all so self-critical. But the reality is that, like, other people don't see us that way. The way we perceive ourselves is very different to the way other people perceive us. And, you're going to get like people that really like you and really connect with you. And then you're going to get people that don't connect with you at all. And that's okay. And the whole beauty of this business is that you get to be you. And so, you don't have to be any different. You just be yourself. And the people that connect with you and believe what you believe, they're gonna come. They'll find you and you'll find them, And I love that you used the 90-day video journey in that way, because, it's exactly there for that reason. And the fact that you're doing that already, what did you say, number 35 or something you're on?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah. Like, that's amazing, because, a lot of people spend the first 30 days just kind of getting familiar with actually being on camera, but if you can start using it as the training ground for producing your adverts, if you're like for other people as well, if you're going down that kind of route, then that is brilliant, because it is a great opportunity to get feedback from people who are maybe a bit further down the line than you. Because a lot of people on the 90-day video journey are on it for the second or third time. You know, they might already have been marketing for 6 months or a year, and they've jumped back in because for whatever reason they feel it's a good time for them to go through that again. And, you know, if you're getting that kind of feedback from them, take that all with like, you know, like take it all on board, and it's good criticism to work on, and something that where you can grow and improve your ads. Excuse me. So that's brilliant. I love that. Well done. I'm really glad you took on that challenge and overcame that fear. I had been thinking over the last few weeks, I wonder if he's done that ad. So yeah, thank you for coming out and sharing that.
That's all right. I'm sorry for getting on late. I got stuck in traffic on the way home. So
no worries. It's good that you're here. Right. So anybody else? What about you, Matt? Would you like to come out and share anything? Anything on your mind? Anything you want to? Any questions? Can be anything. Can be about overwhelm. Can be anything you've heard us talking about. Oh, do you know how to unmute yourself? I can do it. Hang on. Okay, can we hear you? Oh, no, I can't hear you. You might have to jump out and jump in again, but if you don't want to, then I think you're saying you're going to try. Okay, cool. Yeah, if you want to try, jump out, jump in again, and meanwhile, we'll talk about something else. So, do you know what? What I'd like to ask, actually, Christine, if you don't mind, I'd like to ask you a question. Because I know Christine's, well, I'll let you tell the story, but I know Christine's been around with the SFM for a little while longer than some of you, like roughly the same time as me, I think. So I'd love you to share maybe sometimes when you experienced overwhelm, and like anything you can remember that stands out particularly as a time in your journey so far where that was like a huge thing for you, and what you did to overcome it, how that helped. Anything like that, I think would be really helpful for people.
Yeah, no problem. I've been here 12 months now. I think 13 now. So I think overwhelm has come up almost every month. I've always had it. And I think what I realized is that it usually came up when there was a task I had to do, because I knew this task is going to have the biggest impact on my business, but I didn't know how to. So because it was so difficult, then I was trying to think of other stuff I could do, and then I was all over the place rather than just focusing on one thing. And I think the biggest breakthrough came when I learned to actually ask for help. Like to actually go into the Facebook groups or privately contacting people, booking coaching calls. That was my biggest breakthrough, to try and not get overwhelmed, because you get the answer from them and you know then what you have to do and how you can solve this big task that seems unsolvable at that moment in time. So I think since I've kind of just said, okay, I'm reaching out for help, I don't mind, I don't need to do that on my own, that really helped me every single time when I got overwhelmed. So I think that was my biggest breakthrough along my journey.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And that's a really good point. I'm really glad you've brought that up. It is like, it's one of those things that I think, especially in the beginning, when you maybe don't know that many people in the community, or you haven't maybe jumped out on a webinar yet, or, you know, like, you just don't feel that comfortable asking for help. A lot of people struggle with asking for help. And, you know, the thing is, there's so much help available. Like, we're incredibly lucky. You know, sometimes it is just like you have to get out of your comfort zone and ask the question. And then, like you say, there's like a million people that, well, not a million people, but a lot of people that will come to your aid and help you, you know. And like, yeah, if you've got the coaching calls, you know, if you're positioned at Marketing Mastery or Elite or wherever, and you've got those coaching calls that come with that, then, you know, like, I know some people don't even use them, and it's crazy. It's like they're there for you. Like, you just have to pick up the phone and ask. Or, you know, even if you're not positioned at those levels, if you're an essential member, you know, you've got the tribe, you've got the Scrap the 9 to 5 Facebook group. Like, we do have all of these resources. So I love that. And I know that kind of spun off that project for you, didn't it? The Unstuck You, what did you call it? Get Unstuck Challenge?
Get Unstuck Challenge, yeah. For everybody who hasn't seen it, it was a challenge I did where I helped someone from the tribe for 90 days, every single day, one person. And it kind of just, it didn't only help them, but it also helped me to just like believe in myself. And often I had to ask other people as well. I couldn't always answer the questions. So, you know, it just taught me how important it is to reach out, ask for help. And, you know, often we think that we look dumb if we ask these questions, but really what it is that these people who have the ability to help us, it gives them a chance to give back as well. So it's a good thing for them. You get unstuck, you know what to do next. So, and then overwhelm will just not happen because you're very clear on what you have to do next. So yeah, that was that.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. And it is so true, because then you really I like what you said about you're giving someone else the chance to like help you, because that does help that other person. You know, it's like, it's through the experiences that I've had of like mentoring people or helping people in the Facebook groups, like answering their questions, that's given me like the biggest confidence boost. And like, I'm like, oh, okay, like I actually can help that person. That's really awesome. And then I feel really, you know, I feel like, okay, I can do that. So I can help more people, you know? So yeah, that's brilliant. Thank you. Matt, do we have you? Yeah. Oh, you're still unmuted. Try now.
Does it work now?
Yeah.
There we are. Done. No, so I think there was something with the system preferences on the iMac. It's didn't like it too much. Yeah, no, some really good stuff, Alex. Yeah, loving the perspectives you've given, really useful. I think for me, like from my experience, I think mine and Steve alluded to Headspace. That was a real game changer for me. It's it sort of helps you unlock those other things. You know, we talk about intuition and coming up with new ideas, but until you actually get that clarity in your mind, it's it's difficult, I think, to come up with those things. So yeah, that was because after all, you know, we talk about overwhelm, it is all in the mind, isn't it? It's nothing else. So once we tackle that, then, you know, all those other things will start to come through. So yeah, that was a big one. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like with John was saying as well, with his video ads, just keep putting them out, mate. That's what I say, because you learn so much when you actually just throw stuff out there. And, you know, I think myself, I've just got an ad now, I think that's doing the job on YouTube, but it's like me personally, it's going to be different for everyone. Obviously, it's like my 12th ad. So it's like, it's going to be different, you know, for everyone. So it's, just keep throwing it out there. And over time, things will click in your mind and it will come to you. Just got to stay in there.
Yeah, that's so true. And thanks for coming out and sharing that. And you brought up a point actually that it had come in my mind. I wanted to say that to John, but I'd forgotten that. Yeah, you know, like it's just the first one, right? So like you're never gonna master things the first time you do it. It's like when you start the video journey, the first few are gonna be horrible, you know. And it's the same with your first ad. Like most people's first ad is pretty horrible, but like you just do it. You just keep doing it, get better, improve, learn, grow, you know, and everything kind of just falls into place at some point. So yeah, it is just a journey that you have to go through, but a fun and overwhelming journey.
Hold on tight and enjoy the ride.
Yeah, I'm always referring to this as a roller coaster, you know, like there's days when you're like up here, you're like, woohoo, this is the best thing ever. And then there's days where you're like, oh, what am I doing?
You're like, I got this. And then the next day, like, I've not got this. You just got to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, that's life, isn't it? Like,
exactly.
You know, Oh, that's brilliant. Thank you so much. And Lola, I know we can't see you on camera, but I saw your message in the chat. So just wanted to say hi. Next time, if you want to come out, feel free. You can just start video whenever, and feel free to come out. I think we're pretty much at the top of the hour. Yes, we are. I'd just like to see, I've got one last question. What topics, if anything, because I have some ideas, but I'd love to hear from you guys. What are the topics that you would love us to cover on these webinars? So they're going to be every 2 weeks. The idea of them is to help people who are fairly new, or like, you know, in the modules, or maybe just slightly out of the modules, things that are holding people back. So, you know, like one of them we've already touched on today, belief. Like belief is a huge one. I definitely think that's something that we'll cover soon. Is there anything else? Last time we did overcoming fear. This has been about overwhelm. Is there anything springing to mind that anyone is like, well, you have to talk about this? If you want to unmute or come out, or if you can't think of anything, it's okay. You can always message me in the Facebook group. Yeah, John?
There is one thing. It's not necessarily for people who come straight out of the modules, but maybe for something in time, which is how to confront people or talk to people about the journey you're on that don't know. So I'm talking like friends, family and stuff, how to explain all that sort of thing. You know, it's maybe not something that people look at straight away when they're in the modules, but it's certainly something that I'm looking to do now. I want to tell certain people in my life, but obviously it's not something you can just explain in 5 minutes, because they'll just go, yeah, that's a scam.
Yeah, no, that's great. Thank you for sharing that. I think
that's something for a few weeks time or whatever.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a really valid point, because I think everybody struggles with this. Everybody, you know, you might have some people in your life that are fully like, yeah, this is amazing, go for it. But chances are most people aren't surrounded by similar like-minded people, and there is a lot of that. So that's great. Thank you for sharing that. I will definitely add that to my list of ideas. Anybody else got any that they want to come out and share before we call it a day? No? Okay, no worries. I've got plenty of ideas, so we'll be fine. But if you do think of anything, feel free to let me know. I want to provide what people need, so it's always good to hear from you. Well, thank you everybody for joining. Have a lovely evening, and I will see you again in a couple of weeks with a different topic, and I will let you know. All right, bye for now. Bye.